Hello, this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Aging Like a Guru. And welcome to podcast number 150. Woohoo! We made it. I say that because even though I intend to be doing these podcasts 3 times a week for maybe a couple years, I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know what's going to show up. We never know, right? We just never know. And so here we are. The theme for today is that every day is a great day. And I know that sounds so cliche. My dad, who lived until he was like 91, I think, he would say, gosh, today is the best day ever. It's the most beautiful day I've ever seen. And I really appreciated having that orientation in the world through his eyes. And my mom was the same, is every day was like the most beautiful day. And that gave me a perspective that even if I felt grumpy and depressed and frustrated and disappointed, that it was still a beautiful day and so much potential was in this day. And so it's a matter of how do I want to choose to be in this day? Now, I'll tell you that for the first 65 years, I didn't see that I had much choice in what kind of day I had. I was so immersed in the circumstances of my life that I allowed my circumstances to influence my attitude and my mood. And if people were grouchy and grumpy, or they didn't follow through and they didn't keep their promises, I was a grumpy person. If I felt alone and isolated, I was a grumpy person. I was depressed a lot. I was in dread a lot. I never knew it. I never, a lot of my model of being as coach is to understand that people feel depressed, but usually what they're feeling is sad and mad and bad, and that they haven't really expressed and given themselves the opportunity to be in the true essential energy of the expression of what they're feeling. And so depression is what happens. But the truth is I've also experienced like, wow, I was really depressed for a long time, and depressed in a sense that a numbing out, a lack of vibration, a lack of energy that was just part of who I was in my reality. And I didn't even know it because I didn't know it. It was part of, the world that I lived in. It lived the context, the paradigm that I lived in. And as I grow myself, as I allow myself to be what is and who is in the moment, I'm experiencing so much more of me. I mean, that makes me laugh because for probably most of your life, to the degree that you've identified with what you do, what you wear, what you look like, what sex, what race, what religion, all of those things that influence your economic, even your economic situations, all of that influences who you believe yourself to be. And as we get older, or as we get wiser, as we mature and we're willing to open to a larger sense of who I am, then there's an ability to be more curious. And that's, I think, probably foundational to these podcasts on Aging Like a Guru is encouraging and inspiring curiosity so that you can go, who am I outside of my sexuality, my gender, my religion, my race, my family of origin? Who am I? If all of that is gone, if all of that is if that's all extraneous in this moment, in this conversation, who am I? And I loved in Eat, Love, Pray, there's a point where Liz says, what I know to be true is that God dwells within me as me. And that's huge, it's a huge practice to live into. And as a spiritual principle, we can decide if God is outside us or God is in us, and we can decide whatever we want based on the principles that are true for us. And as we do that, we become more oriented towards the truth of that. The more that I see myself as a God within expressing this being, this rosiness, rosy personness, the more that I'm curious about what does that look like from God's perspective, not from the identity that I'd taken on all these years, not from the dysfunction of the family or, the tragedies and traumas of life and the choices. It's like, who is the being inside who's looking through my eyes? Who are they? And who am I as that person? And as I'm able to be in the question of that and explore that. And as I mentioned in the last couple of podcasts, in a sense, the space of that, and to continue to see what would it be like to shift my orientation from the consensus reality of who I am as this person, aging, wrinkles, and whatever, or the person who's got the 3 master's degrees and PhDs and written books, or the person who lives in a trailer on an island with a dog. All of those things are elements of my life, but that still doesn't tell you who I am inside, any of that. So it's kind of fascinating. Not just me. I'm more and more curious and fascinated about every person. That's why I love the work I do as a coach, is because that fascination and curiosity, which is part of my training program. I'm training my clients and my coaches to be curious so they can ask the questions to people so that they get curious too about who they are. But that fascination of who we are, or what's the existence within, even within an ant or a bug or a spider, life becomes more rich, I think. That's my experience. And so I bring that to you. It's autumn, and in autumn there's a lot of spiders out. I love spiders as long as they're not biting me, and not too big that they scare me. But I've got some spiders hanging out now and their webs are just breathtaking. They're so gorgeous, and I just to see that makes me happy. And I have this plant, I don't even know what it's called. It's kind of a cactus-y looking thing without spikes. It's really pretty. It's got frills on it, which I love. But I watered it the other day, and there was a water drop that was on it. And it was like, oh my God, it's exquisite. It was so beautiful. And it's not as if I'm making time to see those things. It's just showing up. It's just becoming more and more of the truth of my reality, that life is so much more fun, more joyous, more playful. I laugh a lot, even you know that because you hear me laugh every single podcast. So I'm encouraging and inspiring. That's my intention. Don't know if I'm encouraging or inspiring you to be curious about how your life is right now, currently, and how you can cultivate a greater sense of beauty for yourself, a greater sense of curiosity and fascination. You might be working in a cubicle in some corporate world, where you can't even see the sun for 8 hours a day. But what is the beauty? What is the quality of exquisiteness that is there for you, and is possible for you to cultivate for you, so that life becomes richer, no matter what your circumstances, no matter what your situation. And that's what I want for you. All right. Happy 150th 50th podcast. It's number 150, but it's 50th podcast anniversary today. So happy 50th. Thank you for listening. If you're out there, and if you're hearing this, you are out there. So thank you. And if you'd like, please leave a comment at Aging Like a Guru at the Facebook page, or email me, rosie@theparadigmshift.com. All right. Big hugs. Thank you so much for being there. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.